Anyway, we are not in the habit of putting anybody in safety. So this has been looked at, this has been studied, and definitely, I'm looking for a location in Long Beach for a year and a half. So it didn't cut easy.
And would you be willing to, obviously inform the parents and maybe put up some sort of signage inside your place that says, please do no bar or no double parking, or, just encouraging the proper behavior of the vehicle
All
traffic?
parents get a welcome letter when they're enrolled in the school. It will detail the parking and what we require, what we're instructing of them to keep the kids safe and to keep the congestion out of them.
Is it the old sneaker shop, is that what it is?
It was a sneaker shop, yes. So that will be the same way that I run this business, and there'll be multiple reminders in the beginning and everything until it becomes second nature, and take it from there.
Any other questions?
Just a question, Commissioner, do we have any precedent where, since it's also children and vacation maybe that we would block out a spot or two on the curb, for 2 hours during the class, to allow kids a safe zone?
The problem that is down in Manning.
This is what signs are like.
Well, that's illegal. You can't have a sign for special use. The only permitted signs are the handicap. And that's at anyone's handicap. But dedicating on street spot to an individual is unlawful.
Okay, any other questions from the council? Any other questions from the public? Okay, seeing no hands, thank you for coming here, and please hold for a second. Close the hearing, yes, and close the hearing.
Okay. On to the regular calendar, item 1 is a resolution granting waiver of located parking requirements for Commercial 143 East Park Avenue, street floor for early childhood center play gym. The hearing has been held on this item already. Item 2 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase one LifePak 15 cardiac monitor defibrillator, enter into a financing agreement and transfer funds.
Yes, with the change of our ambulances, Fire Commissioner Kemp will address this better, but this is not just your regular AED. This is quite a piece of equipment that does a lot of monitoring of the vital statistics. It's necessary to have in our ambulance.
Good evening, Commissioner.
Good evening, Scott Kemmons, Fire Commissioner. This is a LifePak 15 made by Physio Control. We presently have 3 of these units, 3 LifePak 15s, and we have 1 LifePak 12, which is the unit we're going to be replacing. The LifePak 12 was stopped being produced in 2010 by Physio Control. It stopped being supported in 2014. The unit has reached the end of its useful life. It's no longer become dependable, and we can't get parts for it anymore to keep it running properly. We are getting, due to us buying a product from the same manufacturer, they are giving us a $4,000 trade-in for the existing unit. And this unit will be financed over the 5-year period. Obviously, it will last a lot longer than the 5 years.
Commissioner Kennedy, can you describe what this unit does?
Okay, this is a cardiac monitor. It does up to 12 lead EKG is what you get done at the hospital or your doctor's office. It monitors your blood pressure. It monitors your pulse oximetry, your oxygen level in your blood, as well as it measures your carbon monoxide levels in the blood of somebody who has carbon monoxide poisoning, whether from a house or a fire. It does all that. It does cardiac pacing, what we call external pacing. So if somebody's heart rate is very slow and you can't bring it up, like they have a pacemaker, we could do it from external. The pad we put on there, we can control their heart rate to bring their heart rate up. This new unit would go on our primary ambulance, manned mostly by our paid paramedics. And then the unit on their ambulance, the older LifePak 15, would be moved down to the third due or second due ambulance and replace that LifePak 12 that we're going to be trading in.
Great. Any other questions? Any questions or comments from the public? Yes, Ms. Bernardino. State your name and address for the record.
Barbara Bernardino, 210 West Pine Street. Anything that the city does in the interim while we're waiting to protect the taxpayers' lives on the island, I think is a wonderful thing. So I'm hoping that the council realizes that our medical services are decreasing, and if the ambulance can pick up some of that slack, it would be prudent of us to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? State your name and address for the record.
Sure, Sam Pinto, one of professional firefighters. I'd like to just first agree with Commissioner Kemmons, this is a very important piece of equipment, used for life saving for the community. Just to bring up, I understand that we're financing, which I think is great too, because we get to spread the payments. It will reap its benefit over time. But just so the council's aware, the first two Life Pack 15s that the city ever had were purchased via a SAFER grant, an AFG grant from the federal government, Assistant Firefighter Grant, that was written by two of my union members, who got us two of those, completely financed by the federal government. We wrote it, in cooperation with the city, we wrote the grant, and we were able to get two of those equipments that are still in service today, back from 2012. So we're just continuing to offer the opportunity that I have a pretty intelligent workforce, guys with masters, most guys with high level education, as well as years and years of experience in fire and EMS. So if you guys want to start going through grants again and getting money from the federal government with the help of the union, we are making ourselves available. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Trustin.
Where's the AED in this room? Do you have one? No?
There's not one in this room. Is there one in the building?
There's one in the police station, two in the police station.
Two in the police station.
Everybody, where's that?
Thank you. And the fire department, yes, that's fine. Any other questions or comments from the public? No, seeing no hands?
Okay, so item one is a resolution granting waiver of Washington Department requirements to premise 143 East Park Avenue, Long Beach, for a early childhood center placement. Introduce move the adoption of this item. Second. Morning, Councilmember Bendo.
Welcome to the neighborhood, I'm ready to become a brilliant butterfly. I vote yes.
Thank you.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
I'm familiar with your work, so congratulations, Danielle, and to all that you'll be working with. I vote yes.
Vice President Dyer.
Welcome to the community. Your program has a very impressive reputation, so I look forward to having it here in Long Beach as well, and I vote yes.
Councilmember Long.
Welcome to Long Beach and good luck. Yes.
Item two is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase one Life Pack 15 cardiac monitor defibrillator, enter into a financing agreement and transfer funds. Introduce move the adoption of this item. Second.
I will.
Morning, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
I'm familiar with the SAFER grants, and I hope that we will look into that. This is a wasted opportunity for us. With that, I vote yes.
Vice President Dyer.
Yes.
President Romero.
Yes.
Make a motion to close the meeting.
I will.
Second.
I will.
Morning, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel. Councilmember Moore.
Happy Thanksgiving once again to all that are here. With that, I vote yes.
Vice President Dyer.
Yes.
President Romero.
Yes. Okay, now go into our good and welfare section. As everyone knows, 3 minutes of uninterrupted time. Please be respectful of others. Ms. Kathleen O'Leary. Good evening.
Good evening. I want to speak on two topics. The first one is the Bright Eye Brewery in town. I think that's a great use of the space, that's there, and I like the fact that they're going to keep the 90-year-old character of the building. I'm surprised that a 27-year-old is into keeping the historical value of, and I congratulate him. I think it's the type of venue that will attract people, states like drinking, not getting totally drunk like some of our West End establishments do. People do that there. Okay, so I just want to say I think it's a great idea to have them here. On a more serious topic, the hospital. We're seeing now that after years of lying to us, lying to the public and lying to the government of Long Beach, South Nassau is backing out of its most basic plans for a small standing hospital in Long Beach. I feel like it's the height of hypocrisy for them to even entertain putting a nursing home there, because they refuse to count into their statistics to justify a Long Beach hospital all the nursing home patients that go back and forth from these nursing homes in Long Beach to Long Beach Medical Center. They use that to get rid of the idea that we should have a freestanding hospital. Now they're saying they're going to use the space, the bay front space, for a nursing home to feed South Nassau. It really doesn't get more hypocritical than that. I think the question that you all need to entertain for 2 weeks from now is, where has the city been on this? What support have they given us all through the years of South Nassau lying to us? I know Anissa Moore was at meetings, I know Anissa Moore was at things. I didn't see anyone else. Commissioner Tagney, it wasn't your position to be there, I'm not speaking to you, but the other council members who never showed up at anything to support the hospital that I've seen, and the legal part of the city, where have you been? And this is the question that's going to be asked in the next 2 weeks. The other point is, for years, there's been a rumor that South Nassau was going to take that property and build condos on it with bayfront views, kind of like what they did in Island Park. The question will be, was anyone from the city government involved in that? Did they stand to benefit from that? And that's what you're going to need to answer 2 weeks from now. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Barbara Bernardino. Good evening.
Okay. Beach to Bay strongly disagrees with the South Nassau alternative use proposal, in quotes, since it will serve to further diminish quality, affordability, and access to healthcare services for the resident taxpayers of the Long Beach Barrier Island. In addition, Beach to Bay believes that the South Nassau proposal is neither a medically sound strategy nor legally justified. The proposed allocation of over 150 million FEMA dollars in Sandy relief funds spent in Oceanside does not comply with the intent of the alternative use regulations. Therefore, Beach to Bay strongly urges the Long Beach City Council and our present city manager to not take any actions that would approve or accelerate the use of FEMA or other funds at this site until South Nassau complies with meeting the health needs of our taxpayer residents. 2, to influence the zoning board to only allow building of a medical facility according to the 500-year plan. 3, advocate for the FEMA funds to be spent in Long Beach first. To rebuild our health delivery system The leftover funds may then be used by our sister hospital, South Nassau. Since the majority of taxpayer residents believe that South Nassau really wants to use this property to build residential buildings to match those being constructed across the bay, we ask that the city council influence the zoning board not to approve rezoning of the property or any variances or anything of the such. The basis for this request is Long Beach taxpayers believe the deal has been made and that South Nassau's primary motive is to sell this property in order to realize significant financial gain. Let's not make it so easy for them to do so. Looking at the current plan, I believe that the plan will fail financially, giving South Nassau more reason to abandon the medical structures for sale to developers. Could this be why South Nassau wants to build on the cheap? In closing, Beach to Bay is available to dialogue medical proposals that are in the best interest of the resident taxpayer. There is a solution where everyone can leave the table with something. Let's find that compromise together. Remember on December 4th, if you'd be so kind, at the next city council meetings, others are anxious, willing, and able to come and speak to this issue. I respectfully ask that the city council allow the taxpayers to speak first at the good and welfare portion, then others with their own personal agendas. I wish you all a healthy and happy holiday. Please don't have a stroke or heart attack in Long Beach. Take care of yourselves. Looking forward, hi Rob, how are you? Looking forward to seeing you on the 4th. And that's it. Thank you so much.
So, we do have the council has a meeting set up with Beach today to discuss how we can move forward
Yes, on the
together.
28th, and I appreciate you getting back to us as
And-
quickly as you did.
And the entire council has advocated for a full-service hospital, or to spend all the FEMA dollars here, along with Councilwoman Fran Adelson, who's in
Fran was
the audience.
the only one I remember who got up.
No, we all spoke at the rally that was out front, we all signed the letters together, and maybe some of us are more vocal than others, but we've all advocated for, we all believe, I think I can speak for all of us, that we all want as much medical care here as possible. 220-something jobs that were lost were huge, we all understand that. I'm sorry, 2020
Yes.
jobs that were lost. We have asked South Nassau, before, they haven't filed any paperwork with the city, but we have asked them, before they file any paperwork, to have a public hearing, and they've agreed to do so. So they will be having a public, I
That's
don't
what
know
they
if they
told
call it a hearing, or a public forum, or a public information center, whatever they're gonna call it.
Okay.
So whatever their plan is, whatever the change of their plan is, they'll be presenting it to everyone at the same
If
time.
you could get them to be specific, I congratulate you, really. Also, the fact that you're willing to take a leadership role is a wonderful thing. I think the community would appreciate that very much. To see our elected officials stand up and say, not here. You may not do that here. So, all of it is good. We'll start from that point and move forward and hopefully get what we need here, especially since the board and myself, we're really getting up there in age. And, but we do have younger people who will come up to continue to speak. So thank you, Anthony. I do appreciate that comment.
And I look forward to the
And I
meeting.
look forward to working with the council. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you, Mrs. City Manager. Thank
Mr.
you, Mike.
Mr. J. Russell.
Hi, good evening, Jay Gusta. Just to follow up on last meeting, Mr. Bendo had discussed the difficulties he was having getting information from the administration. And specifically, he related his experience dealing with a document, an agreement, I guess we could refer to it as the Agassiz agreement, between the city and Mr. Agassiz, which ostensibly deals with Mr. Agassiz's terms of employment. Now, regarding Mr. Bendo's comments, in connection with that document, Mr. Tagny stated in the most unequivocal terms that no such record exists. Subsequently, I got up and made some comments, and I mentioned the fact that I was in possession of a portion of a document that purports to be a supplement to the document that Mr. Tagny maintains does not exist. I want to know if the council, since that revelation of last week's last meeting, has done anything to endeavor to establish whether or not such record does exist, and if so, how it is that the city was not able to provide it to Mr. Bendo or to any of the numerous people, members of the public who have requested it under the FOIA laws.
It's a personnel matter.
I'm sorry?
It's a personnel matter and we can't discuss it.
No, it's really a contract between the city and somebody which happens to be a member of the city staff. Obviously, you're relying on an interpretation, a self-serving interpretation of what this document is from your lawyer, who I believe has induced the city to enter into an illegal agreement. And you're not going to rely on his advice to say that it's a personnel record that's not able to be discussed. Now, you guys go for outside counsel over everything. It is submitted that the city is here basically participating with Mr. Agostini in covering up what I believe to be an illegal agreement. I think you guys need to avail yourselves of an outside independent opinion, not somebody Mr. Agostini picks, not somebody who's going to relay their report to him. You guys, you're on the spot now. You've been affirmatively made aware of the fact that there are documents that the city maintained do not exist conclusively. They didn't leave any wiggle room on that. But yet we know it exists. You guys know it exists. I know it exists. Mr. Agostini telling you it's a personnel record does not address the fact that it's a record that has been requested. If it was a personnel record and it was exempt from disclosure under the FOIA laws, that should have been explained to any of the requesters. If that's what the city's asserting now, I'm calling BS on that. You guys gotta get another lawyer, somebody not of Mr. Agostini's choosing, and deal with that person directly, and get a legal opinion on what exactly this document is. But more importantly, I don't know how you guys can rely on Mr. Agostini's advice regarding the existence or non-existence of any documents in the future. For him to say, for the city to say that the document does not
Thank you,
exist,
Mr. Gussel. Your point is
the document
Thank you, Mr.
exists.
Gussel. Right.
If you want to cite to an exception under the FOIA laws of disclosing it, that's a whole other ballgame.
But we didn't. No, we didn't.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll do nothing about this, but I'll be back next month.
Thank you, Mr. Gussel. Mike Delory. Good evening.
Good evening, members of the council. I just have a couple of questions. There are 3 topics, have to do with the zoning application that was put forth in the bonding. This was the original terms. If we had an update on that, is it going out for an RFP? That's one topic. These are copies of, in that document that hopefully you've seen. It refers to revitalizing the downtown Westbury Avenue corridor. Westbury received was a contestant of, I think they received a $10 million grant. So I don't know if you have any information after I mentioned it at the September 20th council meeting. Has a request for proposals been mailed out? Do you know the zoning firm or firms that are going to be competing on this zoning application? Is it part of the comprehensive plan? By the way, this document that you're looking at was part of the capital budget that you approved. So I imagine that you know.
Like it got taken out of the bond. This is the same.
It did got taken out of the bond.
Right.
But it was part of the original budget, which was approved. I realize that. Let me backtrack. The 18-19 capital improvement plan included monies, about $8 million. Part of this was included in that, of which you took back out. So am I understanding there is no future intention of borrowing for that type of money?
It's I don't believe this year there's any intention, I mean, based upon the discussion that we had, when we took it out of the approved, when we voted for it, we specifically took this out. So no, I don't believe it's the intention of anyone to do this.
Okay, for this fiscal year.
As far as I know.
Okay, understood. The last question I have is, sorry, Mr. Frazier. I didn't see it earlier. That's it. That has to do with an article that was in the paper Friday, June 15th, Newsday, the financial reform tied to aid, part of a financial restructuring. I think it's up to $5 million, and I just don't know the status of anything that has moved forward with that.
The FRB is still working. Are they still requesting documents?
So they're very active, extremely active.
Okay.
They operate out of the facility here, they come down to City Hall.
They've been here, but they operate out of the county.
Okay.
A little bit. Anything to update the members, the taxpayers, about the status of that at this time? Updating the FRB process?
Our understanding is that they will issue their report sometime in the spring of next year. That's the only update we have right now.
Okay, thank you, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, happy Thanksgiving. Ms. Allison Blanchett? Mr. Eddie Verona?
On the September 20th meeting, I asked our controller consultant, Ms. Hightower, when the audited financial statements would be released. She told me, quote, by the end of next month. On October 31st, the city did not release its audit. I then followed up with the city council on November 7th, when Mr. Taggy said, quote, by the end of the week, the audit would be released. Of course, there have been no financial statements released. So I ask, once again, when is our new deadline for our audit to be released?
Tomorrow.
Thank you. I'm not surprised, but disappointed in the city's lack of disclosure of the audited financial statements. I feel this is not solely because of turnover or lack of leadership, but instead a deliberate covering up of the city's dire financial state. The comptroller's office has called the city's finances weak, but this audit report will show just how horrendous they are. This administration cares more about protecting themselves than fulfilling this legal requirement. The members of this community want answers. We want to know the finances of this city. We want to see the numbers so we can truly see what fiscal state the city is in. How much is the city in the hole? How much is in the reserves? How much debt do we have? These are important questions that the audited financial statement will answer. Even if it may make the city look bad and the city council look bad in an election year, it is imperative these statements be released. I call on you, the council, to do the right thing and release this audit. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sam Tinto? So, Mr. Tinto, just so you know, I got a text from a fire commissioner, just as you were talking about grants. And he said we've gotten over $250,000 in FEMA grants in the last 4 years, and they actually have a grant writer working on grants. They bought new grant packs and new gear, so we are working on grants as well. So I appreciate your offer to help, but I just wanted you to know that it was happening.
Oh, great. Thank you for that update. So pretty much it's going to be quick. I'm just going to say thank you to the commissioner and the council for approving, for one, Scott's procurement of this piece of life-saving equipment. It's very important, especially giving the proper tools to the first responders, and also for updating the off-street parking waiver so that our learning environment can be here. My child, both two-thirds of my kids, my oldest graduated out of the program. My middle is in their program now in Island Park, and my youngest is soon to be hopefully in this program and then later in Island Park. So both the resolutions tonight truly are great investments in the community, and I just want to say thank you and have a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Ms. Eileen Heschen. Good evening.
I need to mention one issue. First, I want to agree with a couple of people who talked about the hospital. And one thing that doesn't come up is the hospital itself, which I think is horrible to look at, and it looks dangerous to me, that big empty building. And in one of the articles that I read in Newsday, it suggested that that might not be taken down for between 5 and 10 years. So that's something else that I'd like kind of covered. Also, it was insulting for South Nassau to say that they could no longer afford the promised pavilion because they took all that money from us. It was millions and millions of dollars, and they spent a lot of it in Oceanside, which doesn't seem to help the wait at the ER. It's not good enough for us to go over there. You wait there for 3 hours. I'm not exaggerating. All right, so I'm looking forward to that hospital meeting. The second thing is that I have seen the page, the first page of Mr. Agostisi's agreement. Also, I've read it, and I think other agreements have come out. I think, Mr. Teddy, there might be one of yours. So if yours is allowed, I'm not sure why Mr. Agostisi's is not. So I do hope that you'll discuss amongst yourself and figure that out. The third thing is I just wanted to follow up on the examination for the Director of Operations. I understand that one person took the test. Does anybody up here know? Don't know? And I also understand that the position has been provisionally filled. Is that so? Yes, did you say?
No.
It has not been filled? Oh, okay. So I'll continue following up on this. Thank you very much and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Ms. Liz Treston? Good evening.
Liz Dresden, Long Beach, Facebook Club. Good evening. For those that are watching at home, I just want to say thank you. I met a nice, lovely couple at Mary's Irish Shop, and they said to say hello to you because they watch drinking wine. It's their date night, and they would like you to respect it a little bit more. That being said, I wrote to you on, I thought, because everybody's looking, I wrote to you in September regarding the consumer protection. And no one wrote, I didn't receive any email back. So I did a follow-up that I should receive, and Mr. Bendo did write to me, thank you. But when I brought it up at the city council, no one really knew what I was talking about. Have you all looked at the city charter in regard to what I was talking about? The Office of Consumer Protection. Does everybody have a copy of the city charter? Is there a copy of the city charter up there?
I think just on the computer.
Could everybody look at section 29? Or else, I also know that Saturday is local business. Perhaps everyone's going to Long Beach printing and make a copy. I did. So just real quick. The Office of Consumer Protection, there shall be an Office of Consumer Protection. The head which shall be the Director of Consumer Protection, who shall be appointed by the city manager. Then there's a bunch of power and duties of the director. It's not a committee, so it's in the beginning, so it seems like it's an important position. I'll go to number 2, render each year to the city manager a written report of the activities and the recommendation of his office. So I'd like to be able to foil this information that should have been forthcoming since the year 1975, when the code added the consumer protection. So, Mr. Agostini, maybe you can save me some minutes. Does this actually exist anywhere?
Do it now.
Pardon?
I said I'm getting through it right now.
Oh,
So, you
so
know,
Dave, put me on hold, and then,
I'm sorry,
I asked Dave if he'd stop the clock while you're. Thank you.
what is the precise question?
One, I'd like to be able to foil, and if nothing exists, because who has this position, or who has had this position? My concern is, why don't we have this position? Because if we did have this position, perhaps we could have protected the residents of the city against consumer fraud with contractors after Sandy, and would be able to help the building department.
I mean, I don't believe that, since I've been here, I've never seen this position staffed, Mr. President. I know it's not in the budget for this year, either, to answer your question directly.
It doesn't seem like a budgetary position, it seems like something like an ADA board, that someone actually in your department might be given this task. I know that your department does a lot, perhaps the city manager would give it to somebody else to do. I know that I've read things, and I've read the other amendments to the item. And I know that I have sent you, Mr. Agostini.
Well, there's certainly, I'm sure you're aware, Mr. President, there is an office of consumer affairs at the county.
Yeah,
I know, I,
Greg and I are best friends, we are. And Kenneth and I are super best friends.
so, but if I'm.
That being said,
So if I'm understanding your proposal correctly, what you would like to see happen is have this function layered into the other employees' existing functions.
I'd like to see it yesterday,
Okay, I'm just trying to understand what you're.
because I think that you would all agree that if we had someone in this position that should have been in this position, perhaps residents would not have had consumer fraud, because we would have been able to tell Scott that he should not be giving a permit to so-and-so or so-and-so because they've taken $100,000 away from the resident. Is that not a fair statement? And also, I have just one more question, because I've been reading the charter, and who is the city treasurer?
Michael Robinson.
Wait, Michael Robinson is the city treasurer?
Yes.
So he's the city treasurer, he's the deputy city manager, and he's the Department of Transportation.
Yes.
Well,
That's your time, Mr. President. Thank you so much. Thank you for the little turkey on your sheet.
Oh, you're
Appreciate that.
welcome.
Happy Thanksgiving.
If I was able to use my hand, I would have made a hand for. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Karen McGinnis.
Karen McGinnis, 102 Pennsylvania Avenue, good evening. I just have a few questions. Has each council member received a copy of the latest quarterly financials that were submitted to the state as part of our compliance requirements as a distressed government? Can that be done?
Yes.
When?
I have to see what the details.
My next question relates to the June 21st issue of the bond issues, sorry. Within the bond issue disclosure document, there's a section called compliance history. Why did we not report in the June 21st bond issue disclosure, that we have had a material event, that being that we have not released our 16-17 audited financial statements.
You're asking me,
Yeah,
can you provide the definition of material event? Is that-
the bond council can provide that. And basically it was, I looked at the reading and it says that in previous to 16, we had a material event, I think in 12, 13 or 14, where we did not submit our financial statements on time, our audited financial statements.
Or the best I can do.
So therefore, we should,
Under these circumstances, the best I can do is check with bond counsel, because they are the ones who actually audit all of our note and bond authorization.
so I'm suggesting that maybe someone needs to keep a closer eye on bond council to make sure that that's included. I looked at the Deputy Director of Operations position. It seems like a very important position. I'd like to make sure that instead of in the minimum qualifications, it's added that a bachelor's degree is required from an accredited university. And I also brought the adopted budget, so I'd like someone to point out where that position is in the budget.
I believe there's.
My post-it should help.
I'm not gonna be able to find this very quickly. It is in here, but it's not funded.
I don't understand.
The position exists in the budget, it's just not funded.
If it's in the budget, the council would have passed it. If it's not funded, it's not approved. Then it can't be in the budget, and it can't happen.
Well, that's an accounting issue that I'm not schooled in, so I won't.
You looked through the budget with a fine-tooth comb, you spent a lot of work on it, this whole council did. You guys know the budget backwards and forwards, and you know the position isn't in there the way the budget is written and was adopted.
It's in here, it's not funded. That's all.
Where is it?
I'll find it. I don't have to-
We can wait.
Do you want to finish your time and we'll find it for you afterwards?
I'm gonna stand up here until my time ends.
It's not listed in the general fund salary list in the budget. It starts on page 56.
Thank you.
We'll get you that page.
Mr. Gibbons. Mr. Gibbons. Could you repeat what the new was?
The Deputy Director of Operations
The one
position.
you were talking about in the beginning, Mr. Klein. You said it was report June.
No, there's a bond issue in June.
Your first, that's what your first item.
Quarterly.
You asked us to provide.
Quarterly financial.
The quarterly financials would be the quarter ending September 30th, 2018. So by now, the accounting department of the city would have already submitted those financials to the state controller's office since we were a distressed government. That report would indicate what our beach revenue would be through September 30th, and therefore the council members can check whether or not we beat the budget or didn't beat the budget thus far.
The beach revenue was 4.1 million something in revenue. It was a couple $100,000 under projection. And we actually didn't get that last check until October 30th.
Right, so we're still under by a couple $100,000, right?
Yes.
Okay, does the council know that?
We do now.
We're still May and June. We're still May and June in the budget year.
Thank you, Mr. McGinnis. Ronald Paganini, sorry. Good evening.
I'm Paganini, 62 Harbor Street, Long Beach. The last Good and Welfare meeting, I was home watching it on the computer, and everybody was so shocked that nobody knew about the corrective operation test of who basically wanted this test was submitted to it. And all of you were shocked. Nobody knew anything. Mr. Tagney, which I know for years and years, he didn't know. We actually.
Can't hear you too.
Oh, so, Mr. Tagney said that the CSEA wanted that test. Well, the CSEA can't do that, it's not, we don't do those things. But you were all confused about it. But this test is basically taking a man, a human being, and making him from an exempt position into a union position, which is a conflict of interest to CSEA. We can't have somebody supervising and then fire you at the same time. It's a conflict. It's an exempt position, it should stay exempt. For you guys, as much as the citizens, it's a very powerful position. Now, I have the application here and the qualifications and his duties. He can be the city manager. He can sit in for the city manager. It's a very powerful position, and it really should have went up. And none of you guys, nobody issued it, nobody went to civil service and put this application in to make this test. There's no test, it was made. So the only conclusion I come to would be what the city manager would do it, but he said he didn't know. So the assistant city manager, Mr. Robinson, well, I'm assuming, it's my opinion, that he went to civil service to get his own test, which isn't too cool. So I went over certain things here with the qualifications. And by the way, Mr. Robinson took the test, he passed the test, nobody showed up. It was him and everything, and he's appointed. I know that for a fact. He's appointed to that job. When he starts, I don't know. But he has his test. But the problem is this. I mean, I hate to tell you this, that he doesn't qualify for the test. He doesn't qualify. He's provisional director of transport, provisional. He was never tested for that position. So meaning, as qualifications, the qualifications are this. I'm not trying to embarrass anybody here. I don't even think you know. So let me tell you, sure, sit down here. Oh, God. Candidates have to be permanently employed in the competitive class, meaning that he wasn't tested for that position as a director of transport, so he doesn't qualify. That's the minimum qualifications to be a director. So I'm asking the council.
Right. So that's why we have a civil service department. The council doesn't get involved in.
I know, but I
doesn't get
just.
involved with testing, or who took the test, or
But
where the test came from. I mean, none of us are involved.
But it is, he's gonna be working under you, with the
And I don't think
council.
anyone has been appointed. I don't even think results are back from any of the tests that were taken. I think.
No, it's done. I spoke to the head of civil service. It's done.
Okay, so you know.
I did the homework. You know, I'm not, like I said, to embarrass anybody here. He should be disqualified. And by the way, in the past, I know Mr. Rock, he's a likable guy, I like him, but he's really not good at what he does. I know. Thank you. Could you just please?
Just a quick clarification, I did order that test, I don't know where you got the impression that I didn't know about it. I requested civil service look into developing the specs and having that test. Then I went to the commission and they took it from there.
Oh, because, you know, I saw the thing, Mike, and you just, nobody knew when you said that CSEA had ordered it or pushed it through. That's what blew me away. But please, please investigate.
That was the response to Mr. Bendo's grade changes issues.
All right, but I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna ask civil service, I'm gonna ask CSEA to investigate and to have this guy disqualified.
That would be up to our civil service department.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mary Lopez. Good evening.
Good evening. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. On behalf of Northeast Bay, now, Mary Wallace Others. First of all, I'm speaking about tests. I asked about 3 years ago when you were gonna ask the state for a test for the firefighters. 3 years ago. So maybe someone could look into that, or if you're just waiting for them all to retire and get rid of it, because the word is out there, that's what you want to do. And I think that's totally wrong. I asked 3 years ago, could someone please check into how you order a test? Thank you. Okay, we had a little survey, about traffic in our area. I'm not gonna go into the whole thing, I'm gonna write you a letter, and I will give you the emails we got back, so you don't think we make this stuff up. But an important one right now is Key Food. There is a no turn on red. You know the one I'm talking about. There's always delivery trucks there, and you've got people making the right hand turn. It was suggested perhaps you could put something up on the wire that holds the traffic light before someone does get in. So if you would seriously consider that. The other things, we will be composing a letter. The other problem is which is of importance because there's always accidents over there. The sign for the ambulance turnoff hung on the bridge. People, and I know it's people that live in that area, okay, and I represent them, but there are people making left-hand turns there all the time. I saw it 3 times in the last 2 days. It's only for emergency vehicles. If maybe a bigger sign, before, again, you'll have young people crossing to get that bus. All right, on a lighter note, I spoke to Mr. Miranda. We're missing, one of the Christmas lights in front of Nolan's. May not be important to a lot of people, but it's important to us. We had purchased 10, they're lost somewhere. And I really would like to find out where they went. We spent a lot of money on them. And it was after Sandy, so you can't say that they were rooms from Sandy. On a good note, our civic collected donations. We gave complete dinners to 8 families, and we filled up the back of my car and delivered the rest of it to the soup kitchen, who we gave to yesterday, and we had cases and cases of canned goods, stuffing, things that could be used for the community, and those that need the meals. And just a last note, the Typlex valves are not working. On a bad day, I get 100 emails showing me pictures of the street, and I don't have to look far because I can look right out my own street. Something has to be done. Even with your house raised, it's still, something needs to be done. And I'm not just saying in our area, I'm saying the whole North Shore. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick clarification. Both those intersections are county roadways. We are not authorized.
The sign is
On Roosevelt.
on Roosevelt, is on the sidewalk.
Right, but that's a county roadway. We
When
can't,
you put the sign up the very next day, I asked for one on Pacific.
well, we shouldn't. We don't have any authority to put signs up on the county roadway.
So you're telling me then I could call, these board tracks to
Yes.
get that moved along? You can't put anything up on the
No.
line?
It took me about a year and a half to get the weight of green light going northbound.
Okay.
So, and the council can definitely send a letter to Denise as well and try and encourage. We also are asking for some traffic information on Park Street down in the west end. The gentleman that usually comes here,
Yeah, Mr. D.
Mr. Dean. So
Done well.
that would be the same. So We did write
We're
that.
not
letter.
getting information.
We did write that letter, but we're not getting a response to it yet.
No.
Okay. We can send a letter to the same traffic. Yep. Nassau County. Okay, so we will reach out for that, and thank you for your organization's Thanksgiving donations, it's really appreciated.
Thank you.
And that's it for this evening. Everyone have a very safe and happy Thanksgiving with your family and loved ones, and please get home safe.